My favorite fights to watch. And because I have this video at from two different camera angles, we can watch both of those camera angles side by side.
That's cool.
Okay, now we're going to advance this one forward because this video has all of the salutes. And
so are you looking for a frame that's really, really obvious that you can line them both up?
Yes, that is, and it's going to be a shot that Duke John, who is on the right, throws. He throws a slot that skips through, and so there. That's the point I'm going to show, and now I'm going to find the exact same point there. Okay. Now I can link the two videos. Now when we play, they go through at the same time. Now
we can separately zoom each video.
Yep. So in these fights, one of the things that I enjoy about both of these fighters is, number one, they are almost always in balance, right? There is not a whole lot of aggressive movement that is really throwing them out of position, right? So when Gemini throws a flat snap to a thrust, and John is just controlling range. He's just staying just outside of that tiny mace, right? So here we have a shot, a pass, where John throws a head shot, and Gemini throws a body thrust. Okay. Now, the Gemini says no on the head, and John says no on the body thrust. Now, as far as defense goes, Gemini has one of the best defenses that I've seen. It's little tiny minimum blocks, only as far as he needs to move to get the to knock the blow offline or absorb it.
You don't want to move that Dorito too far.
No,
it doesn't cover much.
It doesn't. Okay. So here we have a leg snap, or a shot at the leg, and here we see the blow coming in, and it hits right at the tip of the blade, and again, we're not seeing it really bounce back quite in the same plane that it comes in at, right? John pulling his leg back. Now, as far as power goes, on Gemini, we can see that, number one, he's getting a power generation by sliding his foot forward, right? So he's putting his body weight behind that shot, right? He doesn't get a whole lot of hip rotation on this, but he does get some shoulder movement forward, and he's tucking in. So he's using his obliques and boxer muscles to pull that sword down, right? He's pulling his elbow from out and in closer to the body. But the shot is skivvy. Okay, so they both acknowledge that, you know, he's like, this, you know, you skipped out again. We see that it's coming in at this plane and it bounces back at a slightly different angle, right? Now, this next 5 seconds is my favorite part of this fight to watch, and I have watched this 5 seconds over and over and over again. I can spend 10 minutes just picking out the details of what goes on here. Okay, there's so much to unpack in this this little tiny segment. We can talk about power generation. So, or let's start by describing what he's doing. Pommel strike so we see the first thing from here is a pommel strike. Okay. Now, when he pommel strikes, he is pommel striking the pivot point on a side mount shield, right? Which is generally just below the line at which the shield, the line on which the arm is strapped.
Just below the forearm.
Right, so he's hitting right here, right? Which causes the shield to tuck in.
Is it the pommel at the bottom of the sword he's striking with, or the basket hilt along the knuckles? It looks like the pommel, like the bottom of the sword.
Bottom
maybe
or side.
Maybe a little of both.
Right. And because he's fighting with that short mace, he's able to just get under that block into the body, and then he rolls it forward and into the head. Boom. Right? Now, from a lot of his power on this pass, oops, sorry, too far, comes from his footwork. So let's talk about his footwork next. Okay. So currently he is in a horse stance. He's square to his opponent, right? This stance is really good for lateral movement, especially when your opponent isn't going to move forward and backward on you, right? And because John is legged, he can't move backward. So this is a good place for him to be, for Gemini to be. Okay, so he goes pommel strike, and then he steps just offline a little tiny bit to give him more access to that the line at his belly, and he drives his hip right as he's recovering his second foot, right? And then as he's coming up, he slides his left foot forward, and then we see the volta there driving his sword hip forward into the blow. So he's getting power not only from the frame shift of his, the frame weight transfer of his foot moving forward, but he's getting that volta driving that left hip forward. And as far as power transfer, this is obviously one of the most obvious evidences of a helmet moving from the impact of the blow. On the body, we can actually hear there's a grunt, boom, when he gets hit there, and then the shot lands, right? So both of those shots had a ton of power in them.